This episode of The Republic is sponsored by Shutterstock.com with over 20 million high-quality stock photos, illustrations, vectors, and video clips. Shutterstock helps you take your creative projects to the next level. For 30% off your new account, go to Shutterstock.com and use offer code GAMEBREAKER5.
Gamebreaker TV.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Republic. I'm Gary again. You're watching Gamebreaker TV. This is episode 140 for June 3rd, 2013. Collector's Edition owners are either happy or unhappy. I'm not sure. Can't quite tell these days. BioWare doesn't have enough prison cells for the bank robbers, and good news for the server closures in the Asia Pacific. All that and more, plus your viewer questions. But first, from massively.com, it's Mr. Larry Evan. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, and I think I'm about ready to find the proper RP motivation to heal. I'll get it. Eventually.
And joining us, Laura Williams. How are you?
Hey, Gary. Yeah, we don't ever want Larry to heal. That is tragically bad.
I've heard.
Ever.
I heard.
Ever.
I know somebody that's worse.
Is your nickname Wipe? His nickname is Back to Front.
Wow.
Wow. Where did that come from? Hey-yo. All right. Moving on. Nice way to start the show. So do you guys remember that time when we talked about stun breakers resetting death? Nope. Zilch. Nope. Not happening. What? What's happening? What's going on? This is not happening. Stun breakers not resetting on death. What is happening? What's the story?
They decided to pull it because there was so much crying on the forums that it was going to be a horrible idea. And I don't know that I can necessarily disagree. Anything that's going to encourage people to commit suicide in Battlegrounds just so that they can get their stun break reset, it's probably a bad idea.
Yeah, they were crying blood. They were crying blood. All the
Who was crying blood? The PvPers on the PTS?
All the PvPers. Even the ones off the PTS. They're, I don't know.
Even people who have never tried Star Wars The Old Republic.
That's right.
We're signing up to the forums and just yelling, "This is a terrible idea, BioWare. Don't do this. Don't even think about this." Does everyone agree that this is the right move? I mean, this is almost amazing. BioWare, wow, listening to player feedback. Crazy. I didn't even know they had enough people on PTS to give them some good feedback. I thought that was a big problem.
I'm actually surprised. Go ahead. I was going to say, I'm actually surprised that if it came from the PTS. As far as I know, it didn't necessarily come directly from the PTS. It came just from people on the forums going, okay, this is what you can do now. Whenever you have a stun break, you hit /stuck, and you can reset the stun break and go right back into battle and reset. And if you lost your stun break, just hit /stuck, go right back in.
I kind of remember somebody by the name of Laura Williams kind of telling us that last week.
She might have.
Maybe. I think I mentioned that at one point. That came up. Yeah, still, that was the big thing. There's a huge thread on the forums, on the PTS server forums, talking about how people are concerned that there's going to be nothing but stalemates, and that's going to be really terrible and make things completely unfun, and that they really need to address people committing suicide in Battlegrounds first before they do this, and maybe address CC in general.
All right, so it sounds as if like everybody's happy with this change, but I guess the one thing I'm wondering is like, do you think that they need to find some sort of solution that needs to be found, or should everyone just move along with their lives and just leave as is?
There definitely needs to be a solution. I don't think this was it, and I think we've suggested multiple times that that what needs to happen is really rather simple. I know from a armchair designer standpoint, it's really rather simple, is that whenever somebody activates a stun break, their resolve bar fills all the way up, and that gives them, like 8 seconds without stuns. So, and you still, and that's there's still a longer cooldown on your stun break than there is 8 seconds, so it's not like you're going to be spamming stun break all the time. And multiple people have come up with that solution. It's not Larry Everett coming up with that solution. There's multiple PvPers and other people that have come up with the solution of when you activate your stun break, fill up the resolve bar. Because resolve is not working as intended. However, I think it would kind of work as intended, or at least more the way it was intended, if stun break just automatically popped resolve all the way up to the top.
You blew it. I was going to name the episode Larry Everett Comes Up with the Solution.
You can go ahead and say that. It's my solution. Yeah, we can go ahead and
take all the credit.
Everett solution. Sure.
All right, today I also learned...
Stun Wars, the Old Republic.
What is that?
Stun Wars, the Old
Stun
Republic.
Stun Wars! Today I learned that dyes are really confusing. Let's see if I can get this right. In 2.1, 2 dyes were added to the CE vendor, which is great. I mean, people have been asking for updates like this. It was promised it would be like pre-launch. Okay. Those dyes were meant to be bind on pickup, which would make them exclusive to the collector's edition owners. But there was a bug, and they weren't. Correct?
Yep.
Right.
What happened?
When they launched to live, they were actually BOE. So people from the collector's edition, or who had access to the collector's edition vendor, were going up, buying a whole bunch, and then sticking them on the auction house.
Oh.
For people to buy.
Nice. And,
dun dun dun.
Those rare dyes, pretty much not so rare anymore. So just up on.
Yeah,
so
not really.
how many did the auction house just become flooded with them?
Actually, it did.
Yeah. Which is kind of terrible because they're horrible color combinations.
That's what I was just gonna ask. Are they any good? Were they good looking at all? What colors were they?
The security key vendor was cool because that was red and white, so I was cool with that one.
Yeah, but the collector's edition gets stuck with green and yellow. Yeah. Yay! I can look like Rogue from X-Men, or I can look like Mustard Pack in orange and red.
Yep.
So now the other thing is, so at that point, BioWare, I guess the team decided that they would leave this as is. So the CE, the collector's edition, people could control the market on something. Is this correct? Is this how they're dealing with it?
That was originally what they decided that their fix was going to be. They said, okay, well, we'll just let you guys sell those, and that'll be all right. And when they went to go put the fix in for it, they actually fixed it back, so they're now bind on pickup.
Okay. And to make up for the lack... derp! To make up for the lack of exclusivity, they were going to add 2 more dyes to the vendor that were going to be bind on pickup. Did they do that?
I think it's coming in the next patch on the 11th.
Yep. They're going to do that.
It's Tuesday, the following Tuesday.
So yeah, and when that happens, the other dyes, the other 3 dyes that were not bind on pickups, there was 3, 2 of the
No, that's just talking about the collector's edition, not the security key.
The security key is still going to be on bind on pickup?
Oh, is it bind on pickup now? I thought it was still...
Oh, I don't know. Anyway.
I'm so confused.
See? I told you dyes are really hard. It's almost as hard as maths.
Yeah, okay. Whichever dyes are currently... were originally bind on... not bind on pickup... are now going back to not bind on pickup, and the new ones that are coming out will be bind on pickup.
Yeah.
And that'll be in the next patch.
So I guess in 2.1.1, the bug that wasn't meant to be fixed was actually fixed. And now the 2 original dyes are bind on pickup again.
Yes.
Still with me? You still with me? All right. So now when 2.2 comes along, they're going to reverse that and make them tradable again, while adding the 2 new bind on pickup dyes.
Yes.
They're going to unfix their fix.
Right, like they said they were going to originally. So
right.
To sum it up, I'd say communication breakdown.
Somewhere.
Someone fell asleep at the wheel.
I guess at the end of the day, it's not really a huge big deal in the end. And the collector's edition owners, I think, should be happy with this, right? Like, it was a derp, it happened, whatever. CE owners, you're getting taken care of. So,
you know what? I think it's a pretty good idea that the CE owners are able to sell the dies on the market. They pretty much, I mean, granted, you're not going to make a whole lot of money off of it because those that are intelligent are only going to just barely mark it up. But I think it's an interesting take on the whole situation that they control the market on those specific dies.
How's that collector's edition like exclusive club thing going on?
Yeah.
How's that go? Is that with this vendor?
Yeah, that's what this.
Has anything happened at all there yet?
That's it. This is it. This is what's happening.
This is it. This is the die.
Yeah,
the die
there you
thing.
go.
No one hangs out there. Like nothing really cool goes on.
No.
It's just no.
It's pretty empty up in the VIP.
Right. Who?
That was almost the thing that got me to purchase a CE, and I did purchase when Amazon screwed up my order, so I never got it, which I like. But that was one of the things that I was like, wow, this sounds really cool. I think they're going to really utilize this whole VIP thing, and I'm probably going to really be able to get some cool stuff out of it, and then not so much.
No, but who does?
I don't get really much out of it.
Yeah, who? What other game does something like that? I mean, not that, you know, not that it's bad for them to be unique, but that's not
the right answer, though. I mean, they
should have done a better color.
They said, "Hey, here, there's a VIP access to this vendor that only you can get for spending like $8 gajillion on this thing," and that was one of the perks. Like, I don't expect them to just make a room and just leave it empty and just have like some vendor in there and just have them stand around and just be like, "I don't got shit for you, bro." Nah.
That's pretty much what they did. But the thing is, I mean, most collector's editions and that kind of thing. It's a one-time perk that you get this one-time perk for purchasing the collector's edition, and that's pretty much it. And not that I think it's necessarily a bad thing that Tor has this supposedly ongoing thing. It's just that I think there's a reason why other MMOs don't do it. And it mostly has to do with the longevity of the collector's edition. I mean, 7 years from now, when they're not adding stuff to the collector's edition vendor, are people going to be, I want my special stuff because 7 years ago I spent extra money on the game,
Larry, I'm going to be that person.
I don't blame you.
I don't blame you, Laura. Stuff because I spent all that money.
I kind of
the same thing. Wow, I got super excited when I got when they finally gave all the little mini pets for my collector's editions in WoW. So yeah,
I was watching chat room and I kind of thought that I kind of thought the VIP would turn into the Goldshire of SWTOR. No.
There's no mailboxes up there, so
it's
a little difficult.
Maybe BioWare should get on. You could totally turn that into the club.
Just
get some dancers
up there.
Get some mailboxes and dancers, and you could turn that place
right
around. Get some music going.
There's a band up there. You can put money in the jukebox and have it play music, and there's a virtual band that dances.
See, at least
and
the VIP
they did
would
put
have
an auction house up there and a bank.
At least it would have a use then, even if it's just, for our peers. At least it would be utilized, not just like this empty room.
Our peers use it every once in a while. But it's hard, it's hard from an RP perspective, it's hard to plan events up there because you don't know who has a collector's edition, who doesn't. I mean, I guess they can go. I guess a good spin.
$1 million credits.
Yeah, there is that.
They have wristbands. All right.
Sure.
All right. Let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about BioWare and bank robbery and their stance on it. Really quick, I want to tell you guys about a great deal we got going on with the Shutterstock. If you guys have not checked out Shutterstock, go over to Shutterstock.com. Create a new account and use offer code Gamebreaker5. I want to show you guys something. One of the tools that Shutterstock has is called Spectrum. It's actually really awesome. You go to the front page of Shutterstock and you click on Spectrum. I use this all the time for inspiration of trying to figure stuff out. So check this out. This is like, hey, maybe you got a website and I don't know, maybe you have a color palette for your website. Like it's probably a good idea to maybe have like, a color palette in mind of what you want your site to look like. And you kind of got a theme, but you're just not really sure about pictures. This tool is really cool. So I'm wearing a pink shirt today, and apparently the chat room has taken upon itself to call it Pink Day, and that they've all turned their names to pink. So I don't know what I'm going to find here. I doubt I'm going to find a castle in pink. I just saying, I'm guessing. I don't know how many but really what you do is you come here and you put like a keyword in. Let's, how about elephant? Because pink elephants are kind of fun. So you can see like all of a sudden it updates this, but then you slide this color jammy around and it actually just starts updating pictures based on your color palette. It's really pretty awesome because it's like, it totally can just like, you can find these like nice little happy accidents of craziness of just like things you're looking for. And it's kind of like a good use for, it's inspiring. You just kind of go in there and put a keyword in and throw a color pin and kind of slide it around. And look, you got bunch of cool stuff.
Pink elephants.
Pink elephants. Yeah, let's see. I went back. Let's see. Castle. Because we're all about fantasy. Actually, we're about sci-fi. Let's see. How about space? Let's see what space. There's not mentioned pink space, but let's see if we go to blue. Maybe we need outer space. I probably got to type outer space. Yes. See? Outer space. But it's cool. You find like, you find some cool pictures here, and it's a great tool for maybe when you're stuck, you're kind of sitting around, you're trying to figure out like, what to put on your site, and you just like kind of running out of ideas and you just want some like, some creative inspiration. Just check it out. It's on the front page of Shutterstock. And also it's part of the iPad app, which if you guys haven't downloaded this, the Shutterstock iPad app is gorgeous. I love it. It's awesome. Check it out. We got a deal going on right now with Shutterstock. Get 30% off on your new account. Just go to shutterstock.com. and use the promo code Gamebreaker5 on checkout when you set up your account. And you're going to get 30% off. And I do not know how long this offer is going to last. This is the most they've ever given up on a giveaway. Not a giveaway. Dead giveaway. It's the most they've offered on a promo, which is awesome. Love Shutterstock. We use it all the time here on Gamebreaker. All the time. Check it out. Go over to shutterstock.com today. BioWare clarifies its stance on bank robbery. Is that actually guild banks or actual banks we're talking about here now?
Guild banks.
Guild banks. Okay, guild banks. Just checking. You never know. Eric Musco, here's the quote. He said, we will typically not help guilds restore items that were removed from their guild bank by players which had access to do so. We allow players to police their own guilds, and although this situation is unfortunate, it is very difficult for us to action these scenarios. The only time we will action these occurrences is when there is a terms of service violation attached to them, such as a compromised account, etc., etc. Have either of you guys? I've been sort of marginally caught in the crossfire in other games and situations like this, EVE Online, but have either of you?
Yeah, but EVE Online's built.
That's part of the game. Yeah. It's built in.
That's right.
If you haven't been caught in the crossfire of that, you're doing it wrong. Have either of you guys been involved in a situation like this throughout the years?
Yes.
In Star Wars?
We have.
In Star Wars?
Back in, well, not in the Old Republic, but back in Star Wars Galaxies.
Oh, yes. Let me get a drink. Hang on.
Yeah, I've got story time. It's actually kind of a funny story. So you had player housing in Star Wars Galaxies, and we basically used it for a guild bank, because you could move stuff up and down and kind of drop it in the ground. And we played in a fairly small guild. Most of us knew each other in real life. We're hanging out, but we had brought in a couple of new people, and we're generally pretty trusting. We don't think that people are going to dick us over. And one of our friends in the guild, Bob, has a condo down in the French Quarter, and he invited everyone in the guild to come down for Mardi Gras. So we're down at Mardi Gras, and somebody goes to log in to check on their crafting harvesters, and happens to be the admin for the house that we used for storage, and starts seeing all these emails that all these withdrawals were coming out of the house. And she starts freaking out, and she's like, oh my god, somebody is robbing our guild bank, quote unquote.
There goes our stuff.
Yeah, there goes our stuff. Well, it turns out that the people that took it, I actually knew, because they were people that I ran around and quested with on a regular basis. So I was like, well, that's really shitty. So I ended up dropping guild that I was in, joining their guild, cybering with that dude, getting access to his house, and then I stole all of our stuff back.
You are effing awesome. I want you on my team. Talk about espionage. Went undercover, pulled a complete reversal. Yeah. Wow, good for you.
I didn't get all of it back. He ended up using like half of the really good high-end crafting materials, but I was able to get like the cryat pearls and a lot of the other, I don't even remember what they were, but other stuff. I was able to get a lot of it back. And yeah, it was kind of awesome.
That's the way the game should be played. That's a great story. Wow, I was kind of afraid about asking that question.
But we learned a very valuable lesson, and from that was then you don't sit there and just give everybody access to your guild bank. You make sure that you only let certain people have access, and if anyone needs something out of it, they have to go through those people, which is what we do to this day.
And I'm watching chat, and somebody pointed it out, and they said that's totally like EVE Online style. And isn't that true? Like that's the way gamers in EVE Online would totally try and retaliate. Yeah. They'd either freak out and quit, or they like try and figure out some big master plan and spend the next year to infiltrate them back somehow to get their stuff, which is awesome. So here's the question: what do you guys? What's your stance on this? I mean, you've gone through it. God, I'm so glad you had that story. That's a great story. I was almost afraid. I was afraid really both of you. Now. I was afraid both of you were just going to be like, I would be like, have you ever been robbed in a game? You're both of you would be like, no. I was like, all right, moving on. Let's go. That's a great story. After going through it though, like, what's your stance on like, should game companies step in for things like this, or should they completely stay out of this?
I think it would be hysterical if they did step in for it, just because the amount of drama that it would create would be fantastic, and I love other people's drama, and anything that I can sit there and slash popcorn to would be awesome. But in general, I kind of agree with what they said. I mean, that's really up to the guild to police their own people, and you don't need to be giving access to all of your top-end crafting materials or rare things that you keep in your bank to people that you just invited to your guild yesterday. I mean, that's kind of a privilege that should be earned, and I don't understand why people would do that.
I kind of agree.
Think you're kind of setting yourself. No, I mean, not that I think that anyone should be robbed, and it is crappy, and I do feel bad for the people that had that happen to them. But you kind of have to take a little bit of personal responsibility and say, well, it's a lesson learned.
Am I the only one crazy though? That sort of feels like it's creating content for the game. Like that gave you like this story and this memory and this whole thing. I mean, you went back, joined their guild, like you did this whole thing that could not have been created but by devs, right? Like that whole experience happened by real people doing things to other real people. It's weird because that was one of the things I loved about EVE Online, because it's sort of like it's its thing. Like people are known to do that. And a lot of other MMOs like SWG and any other MMOs, it's more frowned upon, I think, because it's just not expected as much. But I'm like, am I crazy in saying I'm totally all for like people ripping people off in MMOs like like that? I actually am.
I think it's okay if it's like built in within the system of the game. Like it was kind of built in the system of the game in SWG, and UO was like that, and EVE is definitely like that. But when you're dealing with a game that is the content is driven by the developers, then the developer, I honestly think the developers need to step in just in certain cases. In certain cases where it was somebody that was like a guild officer or something like that got into some sort of debate, whatever, with some of the other guild leadership, and he took all his stuff and ran away. Then, is it the guild leader's fault that that this other guild officer did that? I mean, because that happens more often than people want to admit, and I think that's I don't know. I think that's kind of that because the control that BioWare has over the content, that they should step in those cases. If it's a case where everybody and their brother have access to, everybody that's in the guild has access to all the tabs within the guild, then no, BioWare should look at that and go,
so you feel like just
stupid.
If one person is the guild like leader's like right-hand man or woman, whatever, and they have access to this and they steal everything, but they're the only other person, you think BioWare should step in and like give them their stuff back and be like,
yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I do. I kind of do.
Why is that? Like is Star Wars not filled with scoundrels and like people who double cross people and steal things? Like I think that's normal.
It's not like it's not because that I believe that it makes it any less of a game, but it's because the way that content is controlled within the game has already set the precedent that BioWare controls the content in this game. Now, if it was set up, like SWG or Eve, then yeah, they should totally have taken it, and that's their deal. Too bad on you.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, I can understand how in a game like this, people are a little bit more swayed one way than the other, but I don't know. I think players should look out of the bright side and take Laura's advice and infiltrate and become a scoundrel and dick them over 10 times even harder. So. All right, so good news for players on the Asia Pacific servers. Eric Musco has spoken. He said, starting on Tuesday, June 4th, you will all be allowed a free one-time transfer for each character you have on an APAC server. In the last update I gave, I told you all that that we were expanding where your one-time transfer could go to include all NA West servers. After seeing quite a few requests to expand it further, we are going to allow you a one-time transfer to any Star Wars The Old Republic server. So good news, but kind of did you guys think this is like a slightly weird initial stance by BioWare?
Well, aren't the North American West servers closer to their time zone? I think it would be a matter of trying to put them in close to playing with people that were going to be on kind of around the same time that they're on.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like a latency thing. They want to try and group up, to West Coast North American server is probably best for performance issues and things like that. But I don't know if you've already. I don't know. I like this better for most players. Just give them the option. Be like, look here.
Yeah, I'm always any kind of server transfers or any kind of where we're consolidating servers. I even said it when they did the big server merges before that it should not ever be BioWare or any authority figure in that regard saying you must go to this server, because that can in a lot of ways cut off the customer's options.
Yep.
And it really funnels people and people don't like to be trapped. And that's really what it boils down to.
And they can't really be in on the conversations amongst people who are playing on those servers who want to move, and they don't really know all the intricacies of hey, maybe some people on one or two of those servers are talking behind the scenes to go over to somewhere else. Blah blah blah. Yeah, I agree. I think the best choice is that they probably just give them the choice, and maybe if they've got to make a mention in the bottom and say, hey, if you go on some of these servers that are outside of your range, you may have some performance slight issues and higher latency, but that's on you. So. Yeah. At least
as long as they're aware, as long as they're completely aware that if you go to say a European server that you're going to get high latency, but whatever, if they're aware of it, and that's on.
Then they don't have much room to complain.
Right.
All right, let's do some viewer questions. If you guys have a question for the Guildcast crew, the Republic crew, got my day screwed up, my show screwed up. Where am I? Is this real life? You can send them to submit@gamebreaker.tv. Also, you can keep an eye on our Facebook page. We always ask for viewer questions there as well. First up this week, video questions. We love video questions. Ooh. Record yourself.
Hey, video question.
Post it on YouTube. Send us the link. We will play it on the show. We love video questions. Email us the link at submit@gamebreaker.tv. All right, first up from Raul Vergara. He says, a buddy told me SWTOR has around 200,000 subs, and the real money is coming from free-to-play players. Do you guys think that's true? All right, crystal ball time. Laura, what do you think?
Oh, no, crystal ball. Actually, go ahead.
What, we have hard data?
Yeah, actually. But go ahead, Laura. You answer first.
I do think they are making a lot of money from free-to-play and from the cartel market. I don't want to admit to how much money I've spent on it.
Are you embarrassed by that number? You really don't want to share that? 'Cause now you've piqued my interest, and I want to know, what is the average person playing Star Wars: The Old Republic like yourself spend them on a month? 40?
I plead the fifth. I don't want to share that information.
Why?
I don't want to confess that on camera.
Really? Because I think it sort of shows how much you love the game. I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, you do a show. I would expect that you spend more than the average person. You are doing a show called The Republic. All right. You don't want to.
Okay. Well, all right. Wait. Is it
less? Is it more than 100?
Is it more? Is it more than? Wait. Is it more than 15? It's more than 15.
It's more than 15.
Is it more than 20?
Maybe.
Is it less than 100?
It's less than 100.
Oh, then that's not that big of a deal. If you said more than 100 a month, I'd be like,
Okay.
So you probably spend like 40, 50, maybe $60 on a good month.
Sure. Let's go with that.
I mean, that's the secret of free to play, right? Like the players who do spend money in free to play games, when they get you, they're whales and they spend a good amount of money. The average person doesn't spend $15 a month in a free to play game that really likes it. So, all right, Lau, you've got some hard data. You've got some numbers.
Hard data. They have said that they are the second largest, but they sit underneath 1 million or 500,000. So that means that I think they're sitting at about 400,000 to 500,000. And as far as subs, and they've talked about that specifically. They said the number of subs that they have, and then they have admitted specifically that the free-to-play players are not the people spending the money on the cartel market. It is the subscribers that are spending the money on the cartel market, and it is an obscene amount. They didn't give hard numbers, but they make a lot of money on the cartel market.
Did give a little bit of a side note of they said it was subscribers, and they said by the name of Laura Williams. That's actually
I am going to be so much trouble after this. You might not see me next week.
All right, next up from Demon Adel Winningstrom. We haven't heard from him in a while. It says, do you know if EA BioWare will show anything about SWTOR at E3? If so, what do you wish they will show / tell us? Is it show and tell time at E3, Larry?
Actually, BioWare has said specifically that they are not going to be at E3. Unfortunately.
No E3.
No, sorry, not this year. I don't know. Maybe if a next maybe real expansion comes out and EA throws some money at BioWare, we'll see something at E3, but not this year, definitely.
Next in from James Wellington. James says, I heard that 2.3 is going to be a graphics update. I'm wondering if this is going to allow players with lower specs to play the game easier, or will players have to think about upgrading their system? What do you guys think? Good question. Graphics update. Are they going, you think they're going more hardcore and they want to up your system to get better looking graphics, or are they actually going for lower spec?
Personally, I don't think they're necessarily going lower spec per se, in the sense that
but better performance on lower end systems.
Right. I think they are going to go for better performance overall. I think that they are constantly tweaking the game, and one of the big things that we've noticed, like overall, is that a lot of the let's call them particle effects are always attached to some kind of object of some sort, and they're always causing some sort of lag. That's why you have issues like names above people's heads. That's why Ilum was so very laggy whenever the game first started, because each of those shots across the air, they were all taking up heavy resources. So I think that that's the kind of thing that we're going to see. We might see some actual upgrades to like the textures and things along that line, but most of what I think we're going to see is a kind of a compression of the textures, so it's more streamlined, a version of the same thing that we currently have.
How's the performance for you, Laura? On, I don't know what kind of a rig you're running, but we've talked about performance a bunch on here, and it's been kind of a mixed bag.
Mine's pretty good at the moment. I I would like to see better graphics. I had 4 sticks of RAM go bad that we had to yank out of my computer, so we're waiting to replace that so I can turn my graphics back up onto high. I'm running on low settings right now, and the game's pretty ugly on low, but yeah, so long as I can still play it, it'll be good. And prettier textures will be nice when I can get that back. And I'd like to see more sparkly stuff. I like glowy effects.
Oh, I will say this.
High texture HD res.
That's right. It's going to be on. That's right. It's going to be on the cartel market.
Yep.
No, I will say this. I think that I think this fix might lead into one of my wants that they've had for a long time. It could possibly lead to chat bubbles.
No,
because
shut up. Shut your face, Larry Everett. That is the day that you get chat bubbles. The day this show is over. Because I don't have a joke anymore.
We won't have anything to talk about.
I won't have a joke.
Done.
That's it. No.
Larry will see sitting in chairs before he sees chat bubbles.
Let's hope so. BioWare, if you're listening, if you put in chat bubbles, charge by the bubble.
You have to order them off the cartel market.
That's right.
All right, next up from Gemma Seabrook. Gemma says, dailies in SWTOR are excessively long and grindy, mostly in terms of getting from A to B. How would you like to see dailies work? What alternatives could they have to dailies? Laura, what do you think?
I would like to see more daily quest areas that are in small, compact areas that don't have a million mobs covering the area between one quest to the next. Barring that, I think they should just give me money for being a subscriber. Just right,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, like a stipend right in my pocket there.
Your daily is subscribing.
Exactly.
That's right. Wow, that's an awesome idea.
But seriously, I want something that's a nice quest area like Black Hole. That was a really good questing area. It didn't take a whole long time to complete, and I could run through it very, very fast in like 15, 20 minutes. Don't make me travel a lot. That's horrible.
Cut down the time. That's exactly what Gemma's sort of saying here. Definitely too time consuming. Larry, any suggestions? Any alternatives they could do?
Yeah, pretty much what Laura said. I think any of the future ones really should be more along the lines of the Black Hole, which is like it's a real compact area. All the quests you can do them kind of in this like counterclockwise motion and get them all done, and it's it's not that hard to do. It's something that's going to be done every single day. Yeah, you want to make it simple for people.
All right, next up from Mark Ryan Strong. He says, for someone who left the game a month before it went free to play, is there enough content to justify paying the money for the new section of content and resubscribing? What do you think, Larry?
Right. Yes, I definitely think coming back into the game, you want to subscribe. If you're going to stick with the game for any extended period of time, then there are ways to counter subscribing that don't require a whole lot of extra expenditures up front. But it's definitely worth it. And the new content, I mean, it's not just all McKeb. Like kind of what they advertised. It isn't just all McKeb. There's a couple of quests that I know Laura doesn't like, but I like a lot. I think that they're great additions to the game, and so yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely worth it. At least try it out for a month. You know, and if you don't like it, then if there's like certain specific parts of it that you like a lot, there are ways to do that without subscribing.
What do you think, Laura? Would you put your seal of approval on coming back and plumping down some money?
I thought McCab was a lot of fun. It was a really pretty area. I thought the story was pretty good. The macro binoculars and the Seeker droid made me want to stab myself in the eye with an ice pick. They were horrible, horrible, horrible quests. I will never do them again on any character ever.
We haven't even finished them on one.
You're right, because they were so terrible that I will not finish them. Absolutely not. I hate them. I thought it was horrible.
But you think But you still think you think it's worth justifying paying the money for the new section of content and actually resubbing and not just going free to play?
Yes, I would definitely do it to go and see Macab. I couldn't see myself ever playing this as just free to play, but yeah, I think it's worth it.
All right, last up this week from Brian Spencer. He says, when the new Star Wars films start coming out, do you think they're going to see tie-ins of sorts in game, like outfits from the movies in the cartel market or planets and areas featured in the films? Lair, what do you think?
Okay. EA did a crossover between Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Yeah, it's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt it's going to... I know, right? There's no doubt that it's going to happen. It just is. Yeah.
Right.
I have 2 words. Exotic Leotard.
Exotic Leotard. There's the name of the show.
Exotic
right there.
Leotard.
Exotic Leotard. Can we name that the show? Q. Mark it down. Name of the show. Laura Williams. Follow her on Twitter at VoidMinx, VoidMynx. Always a pleasure. See you next week on more Republic action. Larry Everett.
Be here.
Follow him on Twitter, Shadow, SHADDOE. Go over to Massively and read the Hyperspace Beacon. What you got going on this week?
I'm talking about Flashpoints as a free-to-play player and possibly as an alternative to leveling.
Check it out. Cool, that's on Thursdays, correct?
No, it's tomorrow, actually, Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesdays. It makes my Tuesdays and Thursdays. I don't even know what show I'm on. So.
That's all right.
Can't expect me to know what day Hyperspace
It's Monday, right?
I think so. I don't know. I feel like we did this show like 3 hours ago.
We did.
We do the show live every Monday at 6 PST. Come on over for the live show. And we got a bunch of giveaways going on. I should be plugging better. Go to freetoplay.tv. There's some stuff there. Another giveaway. I think we're giving away a Razer Naga. I think we've got Arma 3 Alpha keys coming soon-ish. I don't know. A bunch of stuff. Go to freetoplay.tv and Gamebreaker TV. Make sure to check out the giveaways. We've got lots of stuff coming in. Have a great week. We'll see you next week for some more Star Wars The Old Republic action.